Okay, with products like the 6900 XT coming down to an MSRP of $700 US, I don't think it's an official MSRP, but it's just the price is lower now. Would you say it's now a good value, so price to performance? I know the wait for next generation GPUs, but is there a value that you would find these previously dumb cards to be great? So I think we've talked in Q&As before and in a lot of the pricing update videos about the sort of sweet spot for buying these cards. And we've always talked about tier below pricing. So it's kind of like, you know, you buy a 3080 and which used to be $700, but you try and find it for $500, the price of the 3070. That's where you sort of see that good value coming in. But I think with these super high tier products, you kind of need more than a tier below in pricing, because the 6900 XT coming down to $700 is tier below pricing. It's the pricing of the 6800 XT. So many GPU names to remember these days now. So at $700 US is kind of like, well, okay, it's tier below, but you weren't exactly getting like tier above performance. You were kind of only getting, what was it, like 10%, 5 to 10% more performance than a 6800 XT.
Yes. Yep, that's right.
So I think when you're sort of looking at that and you see that product coming down to the MSRP of that card, it's like, well...
What's the 6800 XT at?
I think it's like $650 or something, or $600.
Okay, so it's not much cheaper.
Yeah.
So that's when probably the 6900 XT would start to make sense if you were to buy now, which
yeah,
I'm not.
But I sort of think, well, the 6800 XT is not tier below performance, tier below pricing yet. So it's kind of like, I wouldn't recommend people buying a 6800 XT because it's not $500 yet.
Right.
So would I recommend a 6900 XT
Okay.
that just matches the 6800 XT? It's like, probably not.
So you're getting back to like where we're at 67, more like 66 tier performance and...
Yeah, so I think if we started to see those cards, if we started to see a 6800 XT at tier below pricing, you'd be like, okay, that's good value. And then you see the 6900 XT for $700, and that would seem poor value in comparison there. So I think with those high tier cards, it really needs to be significantly lower. It's similar to like the 3090.
I think ultimately as well, without knowing where RDNA 3 sits in terms of like models, pricing and all that stuff, it's hard to answer this.
Yeah.
Because
we're going to get a lot more insight for sure in the next month or so.
Yeah.
That's our recommendation in general, isn't it? At the moment, there's so many hardware launches, you may as well just wait out for a month. Like the 6900 XT is not going up in price.
No.
It's not going to be $800 next month and you missed out on
I think the worry was initially people had the assumption, we saw this so much in the comments, that you know, they're going to run out of GeForce 30 series cards and RDNA 2 cards they're going to run out, and then prices will start going back up and it's sort of disaster all over again. But I think it should be quite clear now that that's absolutely not going to be the case, and they're just going to keep going down.
They have got warehouses, at least from what we're still hearing, that they're really struggling to sell these cards. AMD not as much, because AMD didn't produce as many cards, but certainly from the NVIDIA side of things, there's like there's a lot of stock.
A little bit of a tidbit I've heard from a few different people that there is a metric ton worth of 4090s. Yep. Lots and lots and lots. Actually, that might only be like 3 cards these days. But no, there's an alarming amount of 4090 availability for order. That's what I've heard. So...
well, I think wasn't there rumors that like the 4090 could have launched several months ago, but
they've ramped up supply, and Nvidia are still. It's kind of like they're la. It's still mining boom. We can still charge money. We can still sell everything we can make, and they seem to be operating like nothing's changed. They're like, if we keep operating like nothing's changed, no one will notice, and our GPUs will get snapped up at amazing profit margins, and we'll sell amazing volume. So it seems like they're still operating that way. They're like, keep churning these things out at full speed. We'll keep the prices jacked up, and they'll sell like hotcakes.
Well, I think
it's almost like they haven't got the memo that mining is well and truly dead.
Yeah, I guess they're trying to avoid a situation where, like last generation, where gamers couldn't buy the card.
So yeah, are they trying to keep up appearances that keep gamers under the impression that supply is going to be low and price? They're trying to maintain that sort of illusion. Supply and demand is still where it was a year ago. I don't know. It's weird.
I guess one angle to look at it is that the 4090 is supposed to be much faster, so there will be people who want to buy the fastest card ever sort of thing. And I guess if they have massive supply to begin with, they could satisfy all those customers as quickly as possible.
Yep.
Because in previous generations, often if you wanted like a 3090, you had to really try and get in first, and otherwise you'd have to wait for a while. And I think with this generation, waiting is bad for NVIDIA, because the longer people wait, the more you run into RDNA 3, the more likely that used GPUs impact things.
They don't get the profits from those inflated scalper prices either.
So they want to make sure that every single person that wants a 4090, they can charge the early adopter tax on. That's, I guess, where my thinking would be on that.
Yeah, that does make sense.
But so you want a 4090? We are not going to let you wait for AMD to respond to this. We're selling you one at the highest possible price we can, and then we'll deal with whatever happens.
So basically, they're hoping that reviews are highly positive, or people don't care and they just want a 4090 and they'll rush out and get one, and because they can, they will.
I think so.
Okay, well, we'll see how that plays out.
It's possible that it will work, because I imagine that there will be, like,
there'll still be substantial demand.
There will still be substantial
always
demand.
Is for new generation GPUs, especially when there is a performance increase there, which we're expecting a reasonably substantial one.
It'll be interesting to see, when you say there's lots of supply, what does that mean? Because there's a lot of different interpretations.
That's
to what
true.
It could mean. Like, if it's a lot of supply for a launch, then there's been many launches where the supply has not been adequate. Yeah. So it's kind of like,
well, that's a good point as well. But yeah, from what I've heard, it is a lot of supply compared to pretty much any other GPU release they've seen before.
Yeah.
So
because I remember the 3090 supposedly had record supply, but that supply was completely inadequate. So it's like, does it matter if it's record supply if it's inadequate?
That's
so hopefully that means it's adequate supply.
Yeah. I mean, anyway, we'll talk more about pricing and availability in our review, which won't be that too far away. All right, hitting pause there. Well, it's not even pause. We're hitting end there, aren't we? Really? Yep.
The end.
Done.
Nice.
No more. There won't be a part 4. I'm sorry. Not that we teased that, but no. 3 parts, all done. Lots of great questions, as we said at the start, and I really enjoyed this one, getting together with Tim, chatting, but we've got a live stream we have to go do now for Floatplane and Patreon members, so...
Yep, looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So, go check out part 1 and 2. If you missed that, you somehow stumbled onto part 3 of our Q&A and didn't watch the previous 2. They're up on the channel right now. And Patreon and Floatplane support. If you're interested in supporting the channel directly, links to those below. Live stream, we got our Discord community where you can chat with us and ask us Q&A questions for these episodes, which is, we always like, prioritizing our community members for those sorts of things. We have BTS videos. Lots of good stuff. I guess that's pretty much it for this one. Really enjoyed this Q&A series. Lots of great questions. So thanks to everyone that submitted them. And I'm your host, Tim.
I'm your host, Steve. See you next time.